Now, from Austin, Texas, Politics with the Big Dogs, and your host, Anthony Holm.
Hello. This is Anthony Holm, host of Politics with the Big Dogs. We have big action coming to you today. Big action, lots of interesting things. We're doing a deep dive into this incredible fraud, not just in Minnesota, but beyond. We know it. We all intuitively know it. We are effectively, very quickly becoming a welfare state in this country. Well over $1 trillion distributed from our tax dollars, yours, mine, the people actually participate in the system, work hard, wake up every day, go bust our humps, pay our taxes, even if we do it begrudgingly and we think it's too much. And the government, our government, whom we elect, is redistributing it. And this most recent bust happened in Somalia, where about $1 billion or more, I said Somalia, happened in Minnesota, but in fact, it is becoming Somalia, where about $1 billion or 1,000 million dollars was fraudulently taken. Your money, my money, hardworking Americans' money, fraudulently taken. And I say Texas money. Absolutely yours and mine. Why? Because we pay federal taxes, and then the feds redistribute a lot of those taxes. About 45-ish% on average of a state's budget is remittance from the federal government. So we're hitting Minnesota. We're doing a deep dive into it. It's really disgusting. We know it. You know it. I know it's just appalling. Now, we're talking a good bit also about Texas. What is this baby bonds proposal? I suggest it's a conservative concern. We need to learn more about it. If you haven't heard about it, there is a movement among Republicans, at least some Republicans in Texas, to say, hey, every baby born in Texas will get some amount of money. Call it $1,000 per newborn. The state of Texas will take their money, which means it's your money, it's my money, our state tax dollars and tax remittance to the state. They'll give every newborn, and they'll put it $1,000 into the S&P 500. This is a play on the Trump accounts, right? Which intuitively might sound good to all of us. But then I'm like, wait a second. Why is my tax dollars being redistributed? Send them here. Send them to me. Let me decide if I want to give $1,000 to a random kid. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Maybe I want to give $2,000. And then we've all talked about for decades anchor babies. Get across the border, have a baby, then they become an American citizen instantly. And now that's being litigated at the federal Supreme Court, or the U.S. Supreme Court rather. And that is a hook for the parent to stay. Folks will wait across, terribly pregnant, boom. Now this is more incentive. Why? Show up, and we're going to put $1,000 of hardworking Texans' tax dollars into an account for your kid who, might have tens of thousands when they turn 18. Oh, and if you birth them here, they become a citizen, and we'll have trouble getting rid of you because your kid's a citizen. That's problematic to me. It sure merits a debate. And then we're going to for sure we're going to make sure we have time to get to the Supreme Court and what they did with redistricting in Texas, how it got there, why it got there. Some of it is shocking. I am shocked that a fellow who was a judicial clerk, a law clerk, and then a judge, and very close to Governor Abbott, was ultimately became a federal judge. He's one of the federal judges said, no, you can't use that map. He was one of 3 people on a panel. They were overturned by the entire Fifth Circuit, the federal Fifth Circuit, and then ultimately U.S. Supreme Court heard that. So we're gonna get a deep dive into what it is, why, how, and what's going on with some of Governor Abbott's judges. And it's not just Governor Abbott. I mean, it's these Republican judges are doing some crazy things that none of us would expect. And they kind of slide by, right? We've talked in the past about the Texas Supreme Court justices who took a pass on that tragic situation where the mother wanted to sexually transition the little 6-year-old boy. The dad protested. The mom was a pediatrician. They were either separated, going through a divorce, and the Texas Supreme Court took a pass let her flee. She went to California to start a transitioning program for that little 6-year-old boy after telling him, "You're not really a little boy, are you? You're a little girl, and only monsters come for little boys. You'll be safe as a little girl." So we got some craziness going on in Texas and in America. We are going to deep dive in all of them. If we get a little bit more time, then we'll jump into some other great subject matters. With that, the show ahead, we're going to do a deep dive into the fraud, Minnesota and the welfare state nationally as a whole. We got to ask ourselves, is Texas trying to follow with these so-called baby bonds where you have a baby in Texas, we're going to give you $1,000 in our tax dollars, and it's dropped into the S&P. What happens if somebody just crossed over from foreign countries here illegally? We know the problems we have trying to get them to stop voting. Now, if we're just handing out $1,000 checks to every newborn, makes you wonder as a policy, and it also just gives me pause. I think it does to you too. Why is the Texas state government wanting to take our tax dollars and use it for that? Why do they get to make the decision? They ought to give it back to us. Our churches, we give contributions. We're a very generous people, and if we want to do that, we can. So then we'll do a deep dive into great issues if we can. But those are the three coming at you right here, right now. So hang tight. This is Politics with the Big Dogs. Anthony Holm, your host. Please join us, politicswiththebigdogs.com. Follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, YouTube channel, Politics with the Big Dogs. You all are the big dogs. We can affect change. We have great guests and a big show coming at you. The next subject matter is fraud in America using Minnesota's $1 billion stolen in taxpayer-funded programs, absolutely stolen, as the tip of the iceberg, frankly. We all know it. We've known it for years and years. We keep finding these frauds and wastes and, welfare queens and people driving Cadillacs and fleecing the system. We are living in a $1 trillion, with a T, $1 trillion. I mean, we don't even know how many zeros that is. A $1 trillion welfare state in America. So what happened? The state of Minnesota, wildly liberal, elected a Somali U.S. Congresswoman, wears the head wrap, hijab, you name it, all of it. That's Minnesota. They took $1 billion, primarily in federal dollars, as I understand it. About half of our state's budgets, on average, come from remittance of federal tax dollars. We pay the feds and the IRS, and they redistribute it for certain programs. So there was 3 big programs that primarily a group of Somalis fleeced. $1 billion stolen with a B, $1,000 million. So they were feeding our future. All right. So this was a claim that, hey, we're feeding all these children. $250 million stolen. Many of these kids didn't exist. Many of these people hadn't bought food. In fact, they've been taking trips to the Middle East. They've been on vacations. They've been buying luxury cars. You name it, they took it. And what happened? Minnesota sat there with a smile, just watching it all happen. And then something called a Housing Stabilization Service, $104 million stolen. And then a program for disabled children that seems to be like $500 million in theft. Autistic kids and similarly disabled, and what is a neurodivergent, the name of the moment or the title of the moment. Many of these children didn't exist. And others within the Somali community, people running the programs, said, hey, sign your kid up. I know they don't have autism or any of these disabilities, but just go ahead and sign them up. I'll get a bunch of money for it, and I'll give you some of it. I believe we've already had 70 convicted. We have dozens more on the horizons being tried and prosecuted, and we're just figuring out the basics of the fraud. So almost all these people are Somalis that came here, or Somali descent. There's a big Somali population, of course, a nation in Africa that's been at war, a huge Muslim state, a country that has a lot of ISIS and anti-American terrorists based there. They're the ones, of course, Somalis who that country have been shutting down a lot of the shipping routes and trying to take the oil tankers, basically modern pirates coming in and trying to take them, and folks have been having to fight them off and machine gun them down. So we got a terrible tragedy going on in Minnesota and nobody's paying attention. And one of our rubs on this show, and I think you as a listener, has been hubs, right? These historically historically underutilized businesses. Basically, if you're not a white business owner, then you're a hub. That's my take on it. You all heard previously on this show Edward Bloom, who took on the hubs 30 years ago in Houston and elsewhere, and really has led the fight nationally against racial mandates and racial preferences in colleges in particular, but in other programs. So all these Somalis were setting up fake businesses to feed fake children and getting tens of millions and hundreds of millions of dollars to do it, and setting up fake businesses to create fake housing for non-existent children and fake autism and neurodivergent services for children who weren't autistic or neurodivergent, and in many instances didn't even exist. And they got preferential, they being these fraudsters, these businesses that were set up to induce and advance fraud, they got preferential treatment in Minnesota because they were historically underutilized business. They were a hub. So what they do, they said, hey, I'm Somali. It's hard to get where we need to be in America and where we want to be in America. So I've set up a business and I'm applying to distribute all this money in food and shelter and autism services and disability services for children. Give me the money. And the state of Minnesota said, absolutely. In fact, we'll give you preferential treatment because you're a hub. Here's $10 million. Here's $18 million. And nobody was paying attention. These children didn't exist. Or that these hubs the owners were suddenly going out and doing first class around the world trips and or going to the Middle East and buying jewelry and exotic cars. And this all happened under Governor Tim Walz's administration. I am struck by this. Tim Walz, who 75 million Americans said, he's my guy. I want him to be VP. Kamala Harris and Walz, president and vice president. Right at 75 million people. And this guy, right under his nose, is watching a billion, with a B, a billion, get fleeced by taxpayers in Minnesota. You know, I'm curious what the population of Minnesota is and how many, what the theft is of $1 billion in the population of Minnesota. So Minnesota has about 6 million people. So if every single person in Minnesota took $167 out of their pocket and handed it to one of these 100 or so Somalis, that would be the level of fraud. But of course, that's not what happened. These Somalis, with the help, or the implicit help, right? The failure to supervise by the folks in Minnesota, the crazy liberals in Minnesota who are all for Molotov cocktails as long as it's a liberal. That's not what happened. They allowed these Somalis to steal our money, your money and my money, because federal tax dollars went down and funded this. So basically, every American took about $2.50 or so out of our pocket, and we threw it into the hands of around 100 Somalis living in Minnesota. That's the magnitude and scale of theft. That is how astounding this was. Yet, what happened? How did this not get caught? It basically got brought to the surface by the Manhattan Institute, as I understand it. They did a feature on it. Some folks, had been percolating around, but the national attention wasn't there until the Manhattan Institute did an expose on it. And $1,000, I bet, $1,000. We find more and more and more fraud and waste. No way around it. This scam has been going on about 5 years. State folks started real early on seeing, or what should have been, red flags to them. But anybody who flagged it, my understanding is the whistleblowers and others are like, well, you're racist. This is the MO of the liberal left, the mainstream media, the government schools, frankly, the school system. If you say, hey, here's a hub that I think is not doing the right thing. I think these guys might be stealing. You're white. You're making a claim. You're racist. That's how they roll. You know it. I know it. We've seen this top to bottom. So what happened ultimately? It wasn't the state investigators. It wasn't the state actors who went and prosecuted this. It was the feds. And there was a fella, I think this came out of the Wall Street Journal recently, one of the lead prosecutors, perhaps the lead prosecutor, Mr. Thompson, said, this is a system that's been begging to be exploited. This is a system that's been begging to be exploited. Yet in Minnesota, Tim Walz, the Democratic nominee for vice president, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. 75 million Americans. That's my guy. That's who I want. They attack whistleblowers or anybody who asks a question about this fraud as racist. Yet when the feds finally start unraveling it and the scale of it, you know they haven't caught everyone. They just never do on these type of scams. We know that. The lead prosecutor says this is a system that has been begging to be exploited. So, $1 billion. You might be immune to that type of number. Again, it's $1,000 million. But let's step back because we all know that this type of fraud exists in all of our welfare programs, frankly. I don't necessarily have a problem with welfare or SNAP or free lunches. In fact, I grew up pretty poor and participated in a lot of it. It helped me in many ways. I'll be a first person advocate of it. I do have a tremendous problem with fraud. I have a tremendous problem with healthy adults not participating in the workforce. So in America, we have over $1 trillion with a T, $1 trillion. The entire GDP of America is like 17 trillion. More than 5% of our entire gross domestic output we give in welfare programs. And the fraud in these welfare programs is astounding. We just uncovered $1 billion of it and likely much, much more in Minnesota, right? Children that don't exist, houses that don't exist, so-called food that was never served, disability payments for children who aren't disabled, right? So, and part of the reason that I think we are finding ourselves here at the end of 2025 is that right at 1 out of 4 working age men in America aren't working. Most of them are choosing not to work. Some are injured and can't work. Then, of course, we need to provide for them. We can't let people go without. But think about this. 1 out of 4 working age men in America capable of working are choosing not to. Let that sink in. We have become a welfare state. No wonder Somalis are flooding to America. No wonder poor Muslims are desperate to get here. They used to want to go to Belgium. They used to want to go to the UK. But America, under the Obama administration, under the rhinos, frankly, many of the rhinos, thank God President Trump came along and saying, hey, we got to break this broken pattern of crazy activist left becoming president and then Republicans running as conservatives only to really implement policy of rhinos. And we're growing the welfare state. We're not auditing the welfare state. Nobody has the courage to say, hey, there's a whole bunch of abuse in Obamacare. We ought to audit it. Oh, no, I can't do that. We're afraid of what we'd find. Nobody has the courage to say the SNAP program or welfare payments ought to be audited. I want to know how many of adult men who fall into this 1 out of 4 working age Americans are capable to work yet living on welfare. Don't you? Instead, folks like Tim Walz and all the rhinos along with him, they want to rename illegal immigrants. You can't use the word illegal. Well, hold on a second. Oh, they're not homeless. They're unhoused. And I wonder if the schools and the left and the MSN, the mainstream news will try to relabel these convicted Somalis as they go to prison. They're sitting in prison. What? They're going to be ill-informed or government housed while we feed them as they sit in their prison cells at what? $20K a year, more of our tax money. This is a real question, not just about fraud. It's national security. So 1 billion, 1,000 piles of $1 million piles of money. Are they going to the ISIS clan in Somalia? Now we've got the Treasury Secretary. Now we got the DOJ. Now we got the feds really going, wait a second. Did we just reroute some portion of this American tax dollars, this $1 billion in American tax dollars, to the ISIS wing, the Shabaab in Somalia? Whoa. I'm sure some benefit went to them, right? Claiming that their network of dollars, Hawala or something, banking network, they kind of backdoor banking to move money around the world. And you got the Dr. Oz, the CMS administrator, going on out in the media saying, Minnesota, you got 2 months to fix this broken system. Are you going to lose the Medicaid funding? I mean, these are Medicaid tax dollars going in block grants, as best I can tell, into Minnesota, only to go then directly funneled into so-called hubs, pockets of Somalis who may well be funding terrorists to kill Americans. What is wrong with America? How are we watching this happen and not jumping up and voting and ending this? So the lesson for Texas, the lesson for all of us, this is what happens when big government welfare programs are implemented, because nobody can pay attention to them. There's no material oversight. And then fraudsters figure that out, and they bring all the rest of their clan in. Hey, we can all scam the system. Nobody's paying attention. This has been happening for decades, generations, on welfare payments. No question about that. Then political correctness tries to just stifle anybody who says, hey, is there a problem over here? I'm making an observation. I'm going to be a whistleblower. I think there's something going on. Well, you're a white male. You're just racist. These are unhoused. These are displaced immigrants. Wait a second. These are people stealing our money and some of the most immoral humans around, because they're stealing it under the guise of helping disabled children. All Americans must be vigilant to this type of scheme, and definitely in Texas. We have so much of this in Texas. Medicare, Medicaid funds being usurped, SNAP programs being usurped, the schools, we cannot keep track of this. And yet, more and more money. You and I are paying more and more in our taxes, and our politicians are making these outrageous statements. Hey, we saved you from this. We kept them from we reduced property taxes by $50 billion with a B. That's absurd. You know it. I know it. And this Tim Walz debacle shows the essential importance of state level enforcement, not just federal level. All of these were state-run programs. I have seen so much Medicaid and Medicare fraud in Texas when I was working as a government lawyer and outside of it. I mean, it's just astounding. So that actually segues us into our next section, our next big topic, which are these baby bonds. Do we really, as a society, want to start chipping in $1,000 each every time a baby is born in Texas? Do we want to set up another government program? Do we want to grow the size and scope of state government yet again and probably have poor oversight, probably have waste and fraud, probably induce anchor babies into Texas because their pregnant mothers are going to be hearing that, guess what? There's a $1,000 check waiting for your child right here in Texas with your unborn child's name on it. Just come on in and come on over. Bear with us while we take a quick break. This is Anthony Holm, Politics with the Big Dogs. We are transitioning to these baby bonds, and is it good business for Texas? Be right back. God bless.
Love what you're hearing? Find all of our shows at politicswiththebigdogs.com. Subscribe to our newsletter and send in your questions. politicswiththebigdogs.com.
Thank you, folks. Appreciate you tuning in. Anthony Holm, host of Politics with the Big Dogs. And on this show, as you know, we do deep dives into policy and politics, focusing on Texas. There's quite a bit of national subject matter, of course, because Texas leads the nation as a thought leader for liberty and freedom. And each of you are conservative and thoughtful and liberty lovers. We are a group of constitutional conservatives who have the gumption to look at policy and be honest about it, even when it's advocated by somebody we generally agree with, or at least I generally do. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, historically a really good friend, frankly, to me personally, and I think an advocate of the show here. He has gone and launched what I think is a messaging effort, and I'm a little bit surprised by it, but I think his heart's in the right place. It's just there's a better process probably. So Governor Patrick's baby bonds. What is it? What's it about? So he's had a number of press conferences of late and said, hey, President Trump has said we ought to do wealth creation for kids in America. Give them $1,000 when they're born. Put it in the S&P. And Dan Patrick said, effectively, hey, I want to match it with your money, the listeners' money, my money, about $400 million a year. So they can get $2,000 a year. Look, I think most of us are very appreciative of President Trump. I am, whether you like everything or rather his style. Best I can tell, it's split about 50-50. Many folks don't like the style. I get that. But his policy outcomes, I think almost all of us are so appreciative for. And then certainly if you contrast it with Hillary or Kamala or any of them, like zero question. But even not every idea is great, right? Let's just call things what they are. So I got to ask, why are we as a society and specifically Texans even pondering taking $1,000 of Texas taxpayers' money and giving it to every newborn in the state of Texas? And how does this not further induce people, women who are pregnant, to come here and have their babies? Why does this make sense? You know, if we learn nothing else out of COVID, we ought to learn that just throwing tax money, tax dollars, your money, my money at things creates inflation. Trillions and trillions in tax dollars and in debt, new debt that we're going to pay for in the future, was just jammed into every silly program by some politician going, we're going to save you. Here's $1 billion. And we saw what happened in Minnesota. We just went through that waste and fraud, and it's going to be substantially more than that, tens and hundreds of millions more, perhaps billions more. And now suddenly a revived idea of $1,000 in baby bonds. Well, I say revived because the liberal left has been talking about this for 30 years, maybe longer. Hillary Clinton, you know, that not known as the shining beacon of conservative thought, she was like, during both of her presidential efforts, she said, we need to give every baby $5,000 at birth. When you're born, you get $5,000. Well, where does that money come from? It's your money. It's my money. It's the taxes that we're paying. So Hillary Clinton was out promoting this in 2007, 2008, and then again in 2016. She's promoted it for a long time. The hardcore liberal left has promoted it for a long time. Like, what are we doing getting on the bandwagon of all these activists, leftists, and saying, yeah, I think this is a good idea? Maybe we should take a beat, take a breath, and say, is this the highest use and the highest value of tax dollars, of Texans' tax dollars, to further induce, I will suggest to you, anchor babies, just straight up? The argument for this type of waste, in my opinion, very aggressively wasteful use of dollars, has been by the left for decades now. Hey, particularly African Americans don't get the wealth transfers of whites. Well, all right, what's a wealth transfer? A wealth transfer is effectively their parents aren't helping them out the same way white people's parents are helping them out, or they don't inherit as much money. That well may be true. It wouldn't surprise me if that's true. That is a wholly distinct issue in trying to solve a policy. Even if it needs a solution, then should we take Texas tax dollars, 400 million of them, and hand them out to newborn babies. Huh. Very different things. Should we take, for example, 400 million Texas tax dollars and hand it out to Hollywood movie theaters so that they'll create often liberal films here in Texas? Like, why are we subsidizing Hollywood? There's a few things that really give me pause, and that's one of them. So here we are now, and as I understand it, Lieutenant Governor Patrick and probably some others are saying, you know what, the next legislative session, let's pass a constitutional amendment and we'll have an election and we'll just do this. We'll take $1,000 of your tax dollars every time a baby's born in America or in Texas, and we'll put it into an S&P fund for them. Well, that's just going to create inflation, period. Whenever we have a whole bunch of new buyers come into anything, it's going to create inflation. But independent of the inflation, let's have a threshold discussion of, is this a right and appropriate use of your tax money, of my tax money? What would this cost and why? And is there not a better way to do this? I mean, how has government gotten so much hubris that it says, give me all your money, give me more and more and more, and I'll decide the right and moral way to spend it? Not you, not your churches, not your nonprofits that you could donate to. We're going to do this. We're going to go subsidize Hollywood. We're going to go subsidize every child born in Texas because we know better than you what to do with that $1,000. As I recall, the Texas budget grew by about $20 billion with a B, and so did our property tax values. Now they all have the audacity to say we cut property taxes by $50 billion with a B, while they spent about $20 billion with a B more than they did on the last state budget. None of this is coming back to us. It's going to Hollywood. It's now, if this is successful, it's going to go to every newborn baby. I mean, talk about an inducement to the pregnant Venezuelan walking up toward the border. President Trump arguably just got elected in large part because of the open borders attitude of Biden. And now we're creating policies with your tax money to help induce that. One of the great advocates of this, what I think is a pretty bad idea, a big bad policy, has been the Samuel Dubois Cook Center on Social Equity, right? Social engineering, social equity. They're out of Duke University, but there's a bunch of others. Hillary Clinton started advocating this like 19 years ago, $5,000 a hit. Now Republicans are talking about it being $1,000 a hit. But some of the headlines out of these papers are, black people have largely been locked out of wealth building opportunities. Therefore, every newborn black kid should get $1,000 of your tax money put into an S&P fund for them. Because some white children's parents or grandparents will put at least $1,000 into a fund for them, and that's not fair. Huh. Well, I shared earlier, and I have many times in this program, nobody put $1,000 in any fund for me, and I'm a white kid. We came out of real poverty in America. But you can do that in America, and I'm really proud of it. I'm proud of what you do and what I have done, and I don't mind writing such large tax payments to create hope and opportunity. Actual opportunity is a better way to say it in America, because only in this country can we move from one class to another, or 2 or 3 classes in one generation. I mean, it's just incredible. It's incredible. We give the opportunity to a free public education that used to be really good. And now mostly we're giving the public schools our children, and we're giving them so much of our taxes, and they're giving us back these radical activists who struggle with fundamental algebra, don't read real well, and don't write real well. But boy, they're indoctrinated, that's for sure. But education and public education is the great equalizer, and that is a gift of wealth building opportunity that you and I have always given. And some of those children struggle to have decent food at home. So we give another thing. We give free lunches and we give free breakfast to school-age children. And we give SNAP and we give Medicare, Medicaid, and county hospitals. People might complain about them, but you get pretty good health care. And if you have a need that's met, these are the gifts of wealth creation, not a $1,000 taxpayer S&P fund when you're born as a quote unquote wealth starter kit. That's a feel good nonsensical event that was advocated primarily by Hillary Clinton going back to the early 2000s. And now somehow, some way, we in Texas appear to be advocating for it. So I think we ought to stop and have a policy debate and ask ourselves, is this a right and appropriate and just use of $400 million a year in perpetuity of Texans' dollars? Why aren't we paying off our debt? We've got a tremendous amount of debt. Public schools owe so much money. $400 million a year could do a lot there. Our pensions aren't appropriately funded in Texas. Our teachers' pensions, our firemen's pension, our police pension. We could pay down a lot of that debt that is coming, that's going to fall on you and me in the future, fall on our children. So let me just ask us in summary here, do you want your $1,000 going to every child born in Texas so that they can have an S&P starter fund? Do you think that growing a new program in government that automatically spends $400 million a year is right and appropriate? Do you think that the Texas legislature makes better decisions with your $400 million in tax dollars than you do? Do you trust the legislature to allocate your money better than your church? Or are you just making a donation to a child? Making a donation to your child or your grandchild who may not have a $1,000 starter kit? I've got a real philosophical problem with this, and I suspect you do as well. It is replacing personal responsibility with state dependency. It is another reason why 1 in 4 adult men in America are choosing not to participate in the workforce. They're not paying taxes. They're living on government welfare, state aid, fraud, and frankly, working women. Yet we're gearing systems and your tax dollars and my tax dollars to that. And, look, I think there's something here that's fair to say. I'm not a big slippery slope guy, but this is so curious and striking to me and philosophically unsound that I wonder, okay, well, if they're going to do a baby account, are they going to turn around and do retirement accounts next for people like you and me who have saved and we have decent retirement? Oh, somebody else didn't save. They bought a luxury car and financed their entire life the last 30 years, and now they don't have much in retirement. So we're going to take your tax dollars, Anthony, and the listeners of this program, and, we've got to make sure they have good retirement. So we're going to go ahead and fund their retirement now that they're 50. Are we going to bail this out? Are we going to bail them out? What are we doing creating an expectation that state and or federal government will bail out poor performers? How is this not just everybody gets a medal? I mean, I'm really frustrated, and I suspect you are as well, that for decades in different aspects of life, we played by the rules, we haven't bought luxury cars, we've saved our pennies, and we're the ones who get fleeced for the folks who didn't make good decisions. It's the brick house or the 3 little pigs versus the hay. And now state government wants to come and say, hey, it's no big deal. I know everybody else spent their time and their treasure and their energy building a brick house. Well, we're going to build one for you. You deserve one too. I'm really troubled. I'm really troubled by this pattern of using tax dollars for government investment schemes. Our tax dollars, from Hollywood movies to this $1,000 baby bond to, you name it. There's so much fraud and waste in our state government. And then they had the audacity to grow the budget by $20 billion. And if you go and read the budget, you will see hubs, you will see DEI, top to bottom. I mean, it's really offensive how many tens of billions of your dollars are geared toward programs that you vote against. DEI, top to bottom, direct allocations and racial preferences. It's really appalling. So there's got to be a better alternative to this. There's got to be a better way to give these monies back to the families through tax cuts, and let parents decide how to invest for their children, and let parents decide what is best for those families. Let's reduce government spending and not create new programs. I suspect some of you like the idea and some of you hate it. So contact us at politicswiththebigdogs.com and let's hear about it. Let's have some discussions. Let's have some debates. We'll take your calls here in just a little bit after this break. Hopefully we'll have some time to get to them because we still have another segment. But is this smart planning, or is Texas becoming Minnesota? I know that's a bold question and big, but it's time to stop and ask, like, wait a second. Is it right and just to give $400 million to Hollywood from the state budget instead of giving it back to people? Is it right and just to hang a $1,000 check, an incentive for people to come to Texas and have a baby with your tax dollars going to fund that account? Or is it better giving it back to your family? You can allocate it, or we give it to our charitable concerns and they can allocate it. Who's better for this? Government or you? And now, finally, some good news. Hallelujah. Out of Washington, D.C., though the fact that we had to go to the U.S. Supreme Court is astounding, right? So the U.S. Supreme Court 6-3 decision said Texas Republicans redrew the congressional districts in a legal fashion, number one, and number two, use those maps. Great. Okay. But there's more to the story, right? There's just no way around it. There's so much more to the story. So for decades, America had lived under this repressive regime that any little deviation in race will disclude congressional districts, and lots of districts, frankly, in many, many states, right? They call it the Voting Rights Act, which is a great label, but in fact is incredibly racist, and it only applied to different jurisdictions, you know. California had no problem. Illinois had no problem. They could just gerrymander in any way they want on political lines. They were upheld while we were just brutalized by the feds. Finally, the Supreme Court struck down most of it. Congress didn't ever have the courage to do the right thing after it realized how abysmal the outcomes were. So fast forward to this summer, and certainly the White House and certainly the DOJ and President Trump and others said, hey, the law allows districts to be drawn for partisan gain. Well, go figure. Of course it does. I mean, Illinois, we talked about this many times. Illinois is like an 80-20 congressional district state, even though it's not quite even 60-40. California is like 58% Democrat, yet they had 80% of the congressional districts, and now they're going to move to like 90%. So what happened? The rest of the story is, how did we get here and why? And again, we've talked many times about the Texas judicial system, and it just doesn't make the news, yet it impacts so much of our lives. So Texas Republicans, Governor Abbott rather, said, you're going to come back for a special session. We're going to do these maps. Okay. And the Democrats fled, and they tried to ensure that we got too close to the election to change them and wouldn't come to Texas, and we all followed that, right? Finally, new congressional maps were drawn and passed. I believe it was August, so a few months ago. And absolutely it was done at the behest of DOJ and President Trump, no question. And partisan politics is very much in play. The effort was to add 5 Republican House seats to congressional ballots. Basically, Texas was just going to come and catch up to what California had done before they went and made it worse. And Democrats and civil rights groups, of course, they ran and immediately sued. The real crazy element of this was a 3-judge panel voted 2-1 to stop the maps. And those three judges got together. One of them said, no, it's perfectly legal. Two said, I don't think so. And one of them, named Jeff Brown, wrote the opinion. And the reason I'm flagging Jeff Brown for you is he was Governor Abbott's law clerk, as I recall, while Governor Abbott was on the Texas Supreme Court. And Jeff Brown had been a mainstay of the Abbott legal machine. There's a whole bunch of lawyers that Governor Abbott has spun off because, of course, he was a judge and then a Texas Supreme Court justice before he became governor. And he has a large legal tree, and one of them is Jeff Brown. And Jeff Brown wrote the opinion that said, quote, substantial evidence shows Texas racially gerrymandered. Shocking. So, okay, that denied the opportunity under that holding, denied the opportunity for the party and others to go and run and use those districts. In fact, the opinion, as I recall, said, Texas, you've got to revert to the old maps for this next upcoming election. And then and of course, Justice Brown is part of the Fifth Circuit. Many of the states across America, the states are divided into different federal circuits. Texas and Louisiana and I believe it's Mississippi fall into the Fifth. And so then presumably the state of Texas appealed and said, hey, we think this is a bad ruling by these three judges. And a larger group of judges in the Fifth Circuit said, it is. We believe they and Justice Jeff Brown in particular, who wrote this opinion, has the law wrong and violated the law. And then that was appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. And we know that recently the U.S. Supreme Court came and said, well, of course those are legal. And of course, under the law, you can create lines to increase partisan participation. 100%. It's happened forever and a day. 6-3, they said that. And they actually said that the lower court, Justice Brown, violated the Purcell principle, that you don't change election rules close to elections. They found that Texas is likely to succeed on the merits of the case. So Justice Brown, who is an understudy of Greg Abbott, said, the U.S. Supreme Court said that he failed to honor the presumption of good faith by the Texas legislature. I'm troubled by the fact that it had to be contested in this way. No question about that. But in particular, I'm troubled by how little attention we, real conservatives, policy-minded conservatives, constitutional conservatives like you and like us, are paying attention to these judges. And we're just believing, oh, it's a Republican, it was appointed by Abbott, or that's an understudy Abbott, it'll be fine, or a Rick Perry guy. Guess what? They're not fine. They are, well, that was a big blanket statement. Some of them very much are not fine. You know, Ken Paxton said, these maps reflect the political climate of our state. Yeah, it's true. Guess what? We're a Republican, conservative Republican state by 10 plus points. There's no way around it. They do reflect that. But I am struck by all these judges who nobody seems to know. We're just electing them because we're like, oh, Abbott said they're a good guy, or Rick Perry said they're a good guy, or hey, they're a Republican, so they're my guy. But guess what? Look at what they're doing. Remember Jeff Younger, that dad who was trying to stop the mom who's a pediatrician from taking her two boys to California to castrate them? I think it was chemical castration of like a 7-year-old boy to get him on a pathway transition from a little boy to a little girl. That fella got in front of the Texas Supreme Court, this court, and they refused to help him. They let that mom take that little boy to California, and the mom was saying things like, you're really a girl. Wear a dress. Come on. Boys are the ones that the monsters attack. You don't want to be attacked by monsters, so say you're a little girl. And there's videos out there of Mr. Younger saying, are you a boy or a girl? To his son. And his son's, I'm paraphrasing obviously, but his son's saying, well, mommy tells me I'm a girl, or I think I'm a girl. Why do you say that? Mommy tells me. So Younger is like, hey, this crazy lady is trying to take my kid, or, Anthony, my opinion is she's crazy, trying to take my kid to California to get on a pathway to transition this little boy, and I want to stop it. And the Texas Supreme Court waved goodbye, and she and her partner took those two little boys, the brothers, and fled to California. And I'm sure that he's got pierced ears and is deep in a transitioning program by now. But it's just so fundamentally wrong. And now we had this guy say, oh, racial gerrymandered, only to be overturned by the Fifth Circuit and then overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court. That really beat him down. Well, a few months ago, according to the conservatives in Austin, this guy would have been a great jurist, a so-called constitutional conservative. I'm really troubled, and I suspect you join us, that when we look deeper into these court systems, the judges who are trying to outlaw religious values, family values, the word values in the court system in Texas, they're telling somebody like Jeff Younger, hey, your wife or separated wife or ex-wife can take your kid and flee to California to do a gender transition, and we're not going to stop them. That these judges will tell legislators, oh no, you're racist. These lines don't stand up. Even though there's an election, we're in the middle of filing. Go back and do it under the old scheme, only to be overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court. I'm telling you, folks, we're all going to have to pay a lot more attention to these judicial appointments and to their rulings, because there's a lot of bad rulings out there, and it's really troublesome to me. So thank you so much. We're running out of time. We hit the Minnesota fraud hard. We hit waste and fraud in America and the welfare scheme pretty hard. We looked at these so-called baby bonds. These were promoted by Hillary Clinton, and now it's getting picked up by some of the Republicans. Most recently, Governor Patrick saying, I want to take $1,000 of your tax money and give it to every baby born in Texas to put it in an S&P fund to the tune of about $400 million in tax dollars per year. And I want to make it permanent. That is an inducement as an anchor baby as much as I can think of. And, why are we we as the state and our legislative leaders so desperate to grow the size and scope of government? I think we should be doing the exact opposite, cutting it, returning the money. We're a charitable nation. We will take care of young children. Zero question about that. We're a charitable people. And then on redistricting, we've got to celebrate this win because it was right and just. But we should also not lose sight that we're celebrating something that should have never gone to the U.S. Supreme Court, never should have had one of Abbott's understudies saying it was illegal and having to be overturned by the Fifth Circuit and then having to be overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court. We have got to do better on these judicial efforts, these judicial appointments, and paying more attention to our judges. So eternal vigilance is the price of liberty, my friends, and you and I can achieve it, and it is worth fighting for. This is Anthony Holm, host of Politics with the Big Dogs, and thank you as a lover of liberty, as a constitutional conservative. Fight on, my friends, because we can stop this nonsense and make our state and make our nation a better place for our children and our grandchildren. God bless you, and God bless the great state of Texas.
Politics with the Big Dogs with Anthony Holm is supported in part by the First Amendment Alliance Education Fund. Learn more about today's guest and hear other episodes online in our archive. Visit politicswiththebigdogs.com. If you have a question for Anthony Holm, email Anthony at politicswiththebigdogs.com. From deep in the heart of Texas, you've been listening to Politics with the Big Dogs.